Coaches Association for the sign, and say congratulations to all the other inductees today. I know several of them personally, and I'm honored to be included in this group. I started my career at Francis Isle High School, St. Charles County. I was the girls basketball coach. We were starting a new program. We had 90 kids try out the first day, and I suggested we go down to the baseline, and none of them knew where it was. I went from there to Chester, Illinois, and was a basketball coach there for 2 years, and the only reason I got that job was because I needed somebody who was a social studies teacher and could coach basketball. And I got hired, I think, the 28th of August. So that's the only reason I got that job, and I stumbled into some good players, and we had some success for a couple of years. And from there, I moved back to Missouri, to Jackson, Missouri. And my wife and I thought we would stay there maybe 3 or 4 years. Instead, we got there and we fell in love with the town, and our kids got into school, and that's where we stayed. I have fond memories of all 3 of the places that I taught in high school, and I especially have fond memories of the players at all of those high schools. I was fortunate to have very good players, but also very good kids, and that always makes your job much easier. You know, the beauty of team sports is that it allows you to experience every emotion, and also not just the emotion yourself. You're with a group of people, you worked hard together, you sacrificed, you sweated, you feel at times great despair, at times great anger, maybe at your own child, but you also feel that beauty, that exhilaration after victory. And you forge these relationships under fire. There's stress there, there's pressure there, there's trials and tribulations. And yet, for me, that closeness that you develop with your coaching staff and with your players, that's, to me, the best part of basketball. You make lifetime friends. You watch young kids become men. You watch young men become full adults. And that's a great thing for me, one of the best things about coaching. In the mid-1980s, I became involved with the Missouri Basketball Coaches Association. It was a new organization being formed by some veteran coaches and spearheaded by Gary Filbert. And I wanted to be a part of this because I thought it would be good for basketball in the state. Coach Filbert, as he's prone to do with many people, got me involved, started talking to me, and said, you know, we need you to come to Columbia and help run the All-Star game. He said, you know, it's not going to be very hard, and, you know, it's kind of really sort of 2 days of lark, and so I agreed, and he said, oh, by the way, Dave Porter's going to run the game. I said, oh, good, I know Dave. Well, I did know Dave, but I should have knowing Dave. Dave played golf with Norm Stewart for 3 days, and I sat in the gym and wiped up the sweat, passed out the towels, and explained why the shoes weren't in yet for several kids. But the best part of that week was I met a new coach at Columbia College, Bob Burk. We had a lot of time to sit down and talk basketball together over those 3 days, and I think we struck up a friendship, partly because you could tell that we had a similar passion for the game. We loved the game of basketball. And over a period of the next 12 years or so, Coach Berkshire recruited 7 of my players from Jackson. They all went there. They all had some degree of success on the basketball court, but the most important thing is all 7 of them earned college degrees. When I retired from Jackson in 2000 from my coaching position, I still had a few years left to get my 30 years in. And I really wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I was talking to Coach Burk one day. I said to him, you know, you ever need somebody to go scout or see a kid play someplace, let him know. He goes, really? I said, well, yeah, I'll do that. He goes, well, I'll talk to you. Well, he called me like 3 days later and said, hey, I've got a job for you. Here's what I want you to do. And he said, I want you to recruit for me and scout a little bit. And I said, yeah, that sounds like fun. Now let me check with my wife. And he said, okay, and I checked my wife, said, sure, if you want to do that, I don't care. I guess she was worried that I was going to go crazy at home. And anyway, I agreed to do it. It turned out to be a very great opportunity for me. I've never been an assistant coach. I've always been a head coach, so that was a little new. And I also had never recruited anybody, so that was pretty new also. But despite all the mistakes I made, and I made at least hundreds, Coach Burk was a very good coach, and he was able to overcome almost all of them, maybe not a few, but almost all of them. He was my boss, but he still managed to be my friend, and I appreciate working there with the athletic department and staff there. Those people who I would sometimes only see once a month embraced me like I was one of their best friends. A great school, a great place to work. And I want to thank God for that opportunity. And I was honored to coach for Columbia College for the last 15 years. You know, there's hundreds of people that you want to thank when you have the opportunity like this, and I obviously am not going to do that. But I do want to thank all the young men that I coached. I was not always the easiest guy to play for. I'm sure that probably the case of most of these people at this stand. To be successful, you have to be a little demanding, and I probably met that criteria pretty well. I was pretty demanding for my players. But I think as time goes on, your players appreciate what you placed on them and the demands that you put on them. I had great high school assistants who were loyal and knew the game. They worked hard, they were good teachers of the game, and I think one of the things that all coaches need to be, especially at the high school level, is you need to be a great teacher of the game. You need to explain to your players and teach your players why the game and why this particular thing needs to be done in this particular way. I enjoyed that part of the game as much as anything other than maybe the relationships. Well, at Columbia College, I worked with other assistant coaches, the real assistant coaches. Mark Mueller was my first assistant who helped me along with the recruiting, and then came Sean Dooley, and then Matt Rock, and finally Thomas Rock. Those young men who were all younger than me, but my boss, which was great. You know, they showed great patience with me and listened to an old coach who had some kind of weird theories about how things should be done occasionally. Last and most importantly, I'd like to thank my family. As all coaches here today know, and their families know, life revolves around basketball at your house. Vacations and meal times, social events, various activities, they're all impacted by your job. It's like, okay, well, when are the showing games? Well, we can't go then because I've got camp that week, and well, no, I said I'd work camp. So all of the wives and families know that. Coaches certainly know that. And my family certainly was involved deeply with that. The other thing occasionally, and maybe the other coaches weren't this way, but sometimes my mood was not always the very best during basketball season. I could be a little grouchy and a little grumpy. Sometimes even after we won a game, I could be that way. So they had to deal with all that. I have two sons, Drew and Kyle. Kyle is with me today, and Drew could not make it, and they were always very supportive of me and appreciated the fact that I wanted to coach. My wife, Janice, was the rock of our family. When I first dated her, I told her I wanted to be a coach, and she smiled and said, "Sure, okay, that's fine." I said, "You need to understand." Well, her family had never been involved in sports. Her brother didn't play sports. She wasn't involved in sports except to go to a few games. And she couldn't understand that first year when we were 2-10 with girls, why I was upset that we couldn't pass the ball from the point to the wing against the 2-3 zone. But she learned through the years why that was important to me and why I would get upset. She had a career of her own. She taught school. She also ran the house and paid all the bills. She did basically everything else that needed to be done. And I think our sons 3 times had to go to the emergency room when they were growing up. And all 3 times I was at a camp someplace working. So she certainly deserves my praise. And I can't thank her enough. We both realized that we made a huge number of friendships through the years of basketball, and those friendships are priceless. I want to thank you again to the Missouri Basketball Coaches Association for this honor. Thank you.